Yeah, I want to go over important consideration for this is for home users and amateurs, but the type of wire you use in your quote unquote MIG welder. Now this is an actual MIG welder, but I'm not using the gas, so basically it's a flux-core welder. There's a big difference, right? You have to use the flux-core wire with it, and I just found out the type of wire, and I read this, but I was looking around for some kind of reviews that give you some really good results, and this wire works great. I got this on Amazon. It's INE. It's 30 thousandths, not 35 thousandths. You can use 30 or 35 thousandths, and it wasn't much money. It's made in Italy. It's an excellent wire, and the difference between the wire that came with this welder and this wire is like night and day. Just to want to point out, because I know a lot of people use MIG welders. Now I'm not using it. This is a MIG welder. It has the it's got the gauges. You can use the shielding gas with it and stuff. I'm not getting that argon tank because it's just more crap to keep around, and it's more garbage to mess around with. But I wanted to see if there was something satisfactory to work with just plain as a flux-core wire welder. And this is some 18 gauge stuff. Now I'm an amateur welder. I grounded this down. This is actually pretty smooth. But if you look on the back side of it, it's like the hole disappeared. It's a 3/16 hole. It was between an 1/8 inch and a quarter. Something similar to what you might find on body work on a car, where they put emblems and you want to weld them up, or there's some holes or something from where people drilled holes in it to pull out dents. This is thin stuff. This is 18 gauge. A typical car is a little thicker than this, and I was trying it with the other welder, the other wire, and I'm not a welder at all, but the other wire, it was garbage. It was like really lumpy. It was crap. I mean, it was really garbage. And I was trying to weld something, pieces of metal to this, and I'm not a welder, but it was burning through, and it was really sloppy. This wire is 100 times better. 100 times better. I didn't grind this down all the way because if this was actually going to be a hole that I was going to weld up for real, I would dent it in a little bit so there'd be something to fill up. It's just flat and flush, because I figure if I ground it, I might actually knock the weld out, because it's that flush. But if you look at the other side, it disappeared basically. So, this wire makes a major difference. So if you're a welder, you're a home welder, a non-professional, an amateur, and you just want to get a flux-core welder, the big difference is that damn wire. And the wire they sell with it is usually, that comes with the welder, it's not good stuff. Now this thing, I got a brand new, it's a lower end MIG welder, but I had a problem with it. I put a couple of videos out on it, but I got it to the point where I can use it. Something's wrong with the circuit board. That's why I have a battery here, but I'm not going to buy another one because I'll wind up throwing this away. And basically, the wire feed motor works. So there's a positive, there's a negative. I just put the negative over to a 12-volt battery, and then the positive, the green wire, goes over to this huge rheostat, which goes over to the trigger side, to where the two cables are for the trigger. That trigger that goes into there, and then when you pull the trigger, the positive electricity goes from here to here, and it goes to the negative battery. So it's works, in other words, and you could speed it up a little bit too and slow it down. It's got adjustability, a little bit of adjustability. So I don't need to buy a welder. And I was thinking, what's the cheap way around of not getting the argon gas for this damn thing? And turns out to be this wire. This is some pretty damn good wire. It's light years different from the wire that came with it. So if you just want to get a cheap flux-core welder, and a lot of people say you can't weld with that, I'm going to tell you, definitely you're going to be able to weld like the floors of the car or something like that, rust in the car. yeah, might be able to get away with doing the body panels, but I wouldn't be afraid of doing this by the body panels, or say like you're joining a seam down here on the bottom someplace. You know, you're doing it down here. That I wouldn't be afraid of doing. Now, if you're joining up here, just use the panel adhesive with the flange tool. So you pretty much, as a home user, you can pretty much get away with just using this flux-core wire. And like I said, I didn't grind this down all the way, but if you look on the other side, it came out clean. It came out clean. And I'm not a welder. I'm not a welder. Now, whereas if I was trying to use the other wire, it was splattering all over the place. It was burning through. I couldn't set it any possible way. It just wouldn't work. And this stuff is not that easy to weld anyway, because it's only 18 gauge. I don't know how thick that is. I'll post on it how thick that is in inches, but it's thinner. It's thinner than this stuff. This stuff is probably about 16 gauge, and so this is not too easy to weld at all. You know, like car sheet metal is not easy to weld. This is a little bit thinner. So no gas, no argon gas, just a plain flux core welder, and just using this, you know, battery setup. It actually, this stupid thing works now. Actually, when I pull the trigger, it works. When I turn this on, this comes on. It's got 4 adjustments. It's got some wire speed adjustment. So basically, it kind of works like the original. Actually, if I wanted to, I can add the bottle to it too if I want to. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I think I can get by with this for most stuff. And I think that's a really hot tip, for really, really important tip, because most people, anybody that's a pro, is not going to be flux core welding unless they're got some little one on the side that's easy to drag out. Anybody that's a pro is not going to get a welder of this quality and use this every day. Anybody that's a pro is going to be using the gas. They're going to be MIG welding. They're not going to be flux core welding. But amateurs, you know, that use it maybe once a year, twice a year, the wire makes all the difference. And this wire is, this flux core wire is light years different from the stuff, and the way it works from the stuff that came with this machine. So that could save you from getting one of those damn you know, bottles and having to refill it and store it and all this other garbage, because, you know, most home users just don't want to do that type of stuff. I might later on. Depends on. I got it halfway in my head. I almost want to go pro with this stuff, but I'm not really dipping my foot in there too much just yet, you know. And but I've always liked this type of work, to tell you the truth.